Aloha, mahalo, and welcome to episode 335 of the Weekly, brought to you by Pocketnow and XDA developers, recorded on Hawaii time. I wish I could put the camera that way, because you should see what is in front of us.
The windy mess in front of us.
Yeah. On Thursday, yes, Thursday, the 6th of December, 2018, all three of us are here for the Qualcomm Snapdragon Tech Summit, and we've got quite the many takeaways on mobile computing, artificial intelligence, and the buzzword that won't die, 5G. I am, of course, your host of the Pocketnow Weekly. It's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? And we have the host of the Pocketnow Daily. Of course, we have Jaime Rivera here.
Hello, everybody.
And helping me flank Jaime right now with our floral patterned Hawaiian shirts.
The host of balancing things out here.
The host of the David Imel Daily. Because I'm myself every day of the year.
We have David Imel. Of course, you know him from Android Authority. And if you don't already follow him on Instagram, Twitter, and whatnot, make sure you do so.
Please do. He's the master of photography.
He's great. Yeah. You have a lot of photos from Hawaii, or?
I have pictures from the boat. We went on a boat.
Yep.
I took photos of people on a boat.
It's been a dope 3 days already, right? Like today is the last day of the Tech Summit. We finally got our final announcement today, and we're all going to go out and go to a luau, hence why the shirts. But yeah, I mean, Hawaii, you couldn't say more good things about it, honestly. Yeah. Why don't we get today's stuff out of the way? That way, because it's fresh in our minds, right? So, the Snapdragon 8CX.
Wow. When I was briefed on that processor, I was like, yo. Like, this is a lot. Like, it's the largest processor. So Qualcomm has ended their whole, like, they're like, you know what? We should not follow the phone approach to the computer. Let's do this backwards. Let's actually create a monster of a mobile processor, but for a computer. So there are no size constraints to the size of the die, and it's still 7 nanometer. They've built in the biggest GPU that they've ever made. But in addition, they're also providing multi-gigabit LTE. They're providing 5G support whenever that happens, because we have to mention 5G as well.
Of course.
GG.
And it's just, wow, at least from everything they showed on paper, what is it, the Intel Y processors or the U's that they made a comparison to?
It was the U's.
They made a comparison to the U's.
The U's are actually better.
But the thing about it is, like, they showed better than the Y's. Yeah. And they showed that the performance on this processor without a fan could significantly overpower these U processors from Intel. And obviously the architecture is far beyond that 7 nanometer.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. Intel's been stuck at 14 for a long time.
And that was the thing. All of the presentations this week, it felt like there was just a little bit of shade being thrown at all sides.
Oh yeah, every day they're just like, our competitors.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So looking at the specifications of the 8CX, which, I mean, say what you will about the naming conventions. Did you get any envy hearing just how much higher spec that processor has been? Like, you have the Adreno 680 rather than the 640, the Cryo 495, not the 485, which is what we're getting in the mobile device, the mobile processor. Like, so did you get a look at how big the actual platform is?
Yeah.
How big was it? I'm trying to remember.
It's because I looked at the 855 twice the size of an 850 physically.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I
would make for we put that in a tablet, yo. Like,
I was thinking about that. Like, so I was having a conversation with these guys, and I'm like, oh my god, this should power Chromebooks. Like, this should power Chromebooks. This should be like the standard for like tablets going forward, because everything in paper looked very powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
In paper. It's just funny when they made the comparison to the 835, because I reviewed I received the HP NVX2, and there's a reason why I didn't review it.
I was going to ask the both of you if you've used one of these always connected.
So I have the HP NVX2, which Diego uses, and I have the Galaxy Book 2, which I haven't reviewed yet because Adam Lane did the text review.
Gotcha.
Great text review, by the way. And so the 835 was no. It was just. It's not laggy, but I think that's the word. It was just laggy. It didn't perform.
Yeah.
Now,
it did seem like there were bottlenecks.
Yeah.
Absolute bottlenecks.
In the case of the 850,
they didn't put enough RAM in any of those laptops. They put 4 gigs in the Lenovo one, and like a few tabs, so it was going to take up 3.5.
Yeah. Exactly. But then in the case of the 850, Initially, I was like, no, this can't be just as bad. But I like the moment I unboxed it, it had so many software updates, it was crazy. After those software updates were applied, dude, that thing performs great.
Nice. Okay.
Like, great. The only thing that it doesn't provide is the 20 hours of battery life. But to be honest with you, I'm fine with the 12. Like,
Yeah.
I'm more than fine with the 12.
Did you use it at all, David?
I used a little bit.
Okay.
I used.
I didn't get to touch any of them. I mean, because there was a bit of a campaign that was being done, you know, just like messing with these, and I was meant to be kind of a part of it, but time constraints came in, so I haven't touched any of these. So I kind of want a snapshot of what an always connected laptop feels like.
So I just sent the Lenovo to Brandon.
Yeah.
But he would gladly send that review to you, my friend.
Is that one 850?
It's 850.
Okay, that one's 850. Yeah.
Yes.
So you've
I used the 835 Lenovo.
Okay.
Yeah. It's it was stinted by the RAM, like a lot, and then obviously
the
like
835 was not good.
Yeah, I mean when you just completely, I think that was a proof of concept, and like. They just wanted to see like how many developers are actually going to port their apps, right? Like recently they made it so it's really easy to actually be able to port your app to ARM. It's just like a one-click type thing if you're working in their IDE. Yeah. And the problem is right now, because there's not a lot of hardware available, these manufacturers don't have, well, the software developers don't have a lot of incentive to port. You know, it's easy, but it's like, why spend the resources? Because there's like 4 or 5 laptops on ARM right now. Yeah. But with this chip, I think they've gotten past that. They've really gotten past that like proof of concept stage. You know, they did all the marketing campaigns and they had people trying to use them. And what I took away from today, especially after the presentation, was that they're aiming this, at least initially, at business. Like when they released the 835 and the 850 laptops, they seemed like they were kind of going after consumers. Yeah. Especially with the campaigns.
The prices were not.
Yeah, and the prices were but especially in the keynote today, half of it was about security and the other half was about productivity, and like all of the apps they showed were like working apps. So you know, and they showed like one thing of like Asphalt 9, but like I'm a little cynical in the fact that like whenever they use Asphalt as like a benchmark, it's made for mobile. Like that is the game that is optimized the most for mobile.
I made a face when I saw that. I was like, do they make that for
the first time they showed me? I met up with them for dinner like a few weeks before they announced the 835 ones. Yeah. And they showed me like Asphalt 8 on it. And I was like, and they were like, look at the frames. And I was like, yeah, but you get that on a phone too. Like, because this is an 835. So it's the same thing. It's
there's not much more resolution on the screen. It's just larger.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think like taking the idea of we're physically going to double the die size and put, you know, way more transistors in there and just really make this something that you can actually use. And now with you can do NVMe SSD storage. Yeah. You can do up to 16 gigs of RAM. So these can actually be serious laptops now, right?
But is Windows still being emulated on them?
Yes.
It is still being emulated.
Yeah, you can't. They haven't yeah. So everything is going to be emulated. Firefox actually runs surprisingly well on it. I got to try it out.
They're also natively creating it for it, right?
Yeah.
In the case of Firefox, yes. But then, like, for example, dude, I saw these guys doing the demo today with Photoshop on the reference hardware.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
It was not bad.
Photoshop's not... Really?
It wasn't bad. Okay. Like, it was good, and they were all doing it while showing it on a screen, on a 4K TV.
Was it Photoshop mobile, though, or was it like...
Photoshop.
It was like Windows Photoshop.
Yeah, Windows Photoshop.
Interesting.
And I was like, oh.
Windows 10 Enterprise Photoshop.
and that's the thing. Like, for example, my experience with the 835 is you can move away from S mode, but I don't recommend it. My experience with the 850 is, don't worry, move away from S mode. You'll be fine. Mm-hmm. It's just with the 835, apps like Chrome weren't compatible, like initially. Right. Eventually they did, but it was laggy AF. Yeah. And so here, it's supposed to be that the 850 will still be sold. It'll be like the lower end, the tier, mid to lower, and then this would be the higher tier. I hope that they don't lose the perspective of, you know, it's great to have 20 hours, but I doubt that people will spend that much time without charging their computers. So that's not really a selling point.
Was it New York to Australia, right? Yeah. Is that the longest flight in the world? Is that what
LA to Australia?
LA to Australia, there you go.
I mean, like, for example, today I'm using a Razer Blade, and I had it in lowest brightness possible, no lights on the keyboard, and power saver mode.
Yeah.
And it lasted 1 hour in the keynote from tethering and shooting. So
that's the thing.
Yeah. So like battery life, in my opinion, is like one of my most valued things. And like if you can get most of my stuff done, like I have a Pixelbook, and I use that for a few things, mostly for writing, and then I actually do some Lightroom mobile editing on it because it has the Android app, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But it's so useful because the battery life is amazing, and like keyboard is amazing, and so like these thin and light things can exist. But like you were saying, you said that you were worried that they would eventually like forget about the important things. I am a little bit worried that they're going to keep making the chip bigger, and then eventually they're just going to be an Intel competitor.
Exactly. Because they just end up becoming,
the whole idea of this entire thing is like, for the last 10 years, we've been optimizing and optimizing and optimizing because smartphones are small, and you want to get as much power out of the smallest possible chip as you can. And they doubled the size.
Indeed.
Obviously, it's a huge gain. But we don't want to get to the point where you have a full size like Intel size chip in a smartphone.
But I think it'd be funny if they.
I think that they split things correctly.
Yeah,
they were like,
I think so
this
too.
is going to be for always connected PCs. We're creating a dedicated platform for always connected PCs. And this is going to be our mobile strategy, which is the 855, and it's separate.
Yeah,
I like that mentality.
I
feel, when they did the 835, I was like, God, why not the 845?
Yeah,
it
was weird because it was the same event as it was the same event.
Well, I mean, I just feel like they probably had all the silicon already.
They were doing R&D like crazy for a long time because they had to do all the software to get it to work.
Yeah,
that probably
100%.
took a year.
Yeah, but just to give you an idea, the 8CX is 200% faster than the 835.
Yeah,
it's 40% more power efficient than the 850.
Yeah.
But could you actually take these always connected PCs and do a 1-to-1 transfer of someone's daily laptop life?
Yeah, so you can.
Really?
Mostly depends on the person.
But how about like creativity?
That's my main problem. I can't run Premiere.
And that's the reason why the essential point is enterprise.
Yeah,
because they will run Excel fabulous. They run like corporate app.
And that was the thing, right? That was like the half of the freaking presentation was about enterprise and office.
No, and so they've got it like,
and they got Lenovo on the take as well.
Yes, and Lenovo owns the office for enterprise stuff.
Yeah. So I think that these are not creative computers. They're not. They're capable to a certain degree, but these are more for people that really do value battery life. Like the people that travel a lot. Like in my case, I guess that what I would love to see is like smaller form factors of the always connected PC, because I feel like 20 hours of battery life, like really just give me 12, but give me a smaller, more accessible tablet,
sure,
that I can connect the keyboard to. And that is like, because for me, if you think about it, like one of in Saf's video, I was like, my favorite product of the year is the new iPad Pro. It is not a computer replacement. It can't be.
Yeah, huge asterisk.
Yeah, no. It needs. And one of the things that I'm going to say in my review is very simple. It needs an iPad OS. It's time for this. It's time for an iPad OS if you're not going to make Mac OS run on this thing.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Because it's pointless for you to tell me how powerful it is if the operating system is a bottleneck. Whereas in the case of Windows 10, you don't have that bottleneck.
Yeah.
The only limitation literally is form factor. And so my priority is, don't give me the battery size and the size of a regular computer. Play with the form factor. Give me thinner products because you've got all this, give me a tablet size. Like this Surface Go should have been powered by a Snapdragon.
Sure, yeah. Oh, that is a good point. Yeah.
I think it would have performed a lot better than with that Celeron that it's currently using.
Yeah.
Pentium, sorry.
That 28 millimeter product. I'm just kidding. They kept putting those numbers out there on stage, and I was just like, whoosh. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it's like,
Yeah. I mean, if we had to compare like the times of the Intel Atom with the netbooks, you remember those days?
I do.
Okay, so if we had to compare,
I still have one.
Yeah. So just to give you an idea,
I love
like
things.
there is no room for comparison between the crappy experiences we had with netbooks
it was bad
years ago.
It was bad, but I loved it.
Look where we are now.
And Snapdragon on a computer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like no, if you use an 850 computer, I don't I honestly don't notice a difference between that and my Surface. I have a Surface Pro 4 though. I don't notice a difference, honestly. But it's with the 850. With the 835, I was like, come here, Surface. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
You know?
Still reach for something else.
Yeah.
And the form factors of all the laptops, I'm really looking forward to seeing that become more common, because if these processors make it clear that this type of form factor is important to a lot of people, then it's going to continue. Like I can't say more good things. I can't say enough good things about the Huawei MateBook.
The MateBook X Pro.
Yeah, the MateBook X Pro. And that form factor, that particular configuration is starting to become more common.
Yeah.
We just got the Stealth, the Razer Blade Stealth just now.
Right.
And
just came out.
It's nice to see that, and things are getting more compact, things are getting more powerful despite being more compact, and Qualcomm is doing their part.
Yeah, but you do have a good point over like even like why is the iPad a product that I use a lot? It's because my MacBook Pro 15 inch is so crappy when it comes to battery life. Like I don't know how my day's gonna go. And so the last thing that I want is to burn 25% of my battery in writing a script.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel that is such a waste. And I probably won't be able to find an adapter soon. And it's just, that's bad. Like, Intel really needs to figure something out.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we have the 8CX out of the way. It's probably going to end up being the 9CX.
It's fantastic.
Oh, well. Anything for you guys. We're drinking matcha tea, just if anyone's
Thank you
ever
so
at
much.
all
I'm
curious.
so congested.
This is not my other podcast, so I'm not going to go into detail about the tea. So the 8CX, I'm guessing the next iteration is going to be like 9CX or something like that.
Yeah.
They're going to keep the extreme in there the
I'm not
entire
really
time.
sure what the C stands for.
Computing.
Oh. What does the 8 stand for?
Computing Extreme.
They're at the current 8th generation.
Oh.
Yeah, see?
It's a dumb name.
Well, let's move on. Let's move on to another name that you hear a lot about these days. All right, let's talk about the 5G again. I'm sure the viewers and the listeners are already just so sick of the 5G talk. But when I did my video on the 855, I started off with a little bit of 5G talk, and this was the best way I could describe it. I want to hear your thoughts on this. What phone did you have, and what was your experience like in the transition from 3 to 4 to LTE?
Oh God!
Remember how exciting that time was?
That's
4G
a
LTE
rough
time.
question. What was my transition to LTE?
Yeah.
iPhone 4S.
Okay.
Mine was the HTC Thunderbolt,
How? Oh my God! That must have
which
been
was
bad.
the first 4G LTE phone.
and that must have been bad.
It burned my hand while I was running 2 apps and it overheated and burned my hand.
I think mine was probably the true.
No, the iPhone 5 was the first one with LTE. I think.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
The true test of LTE, because it was kind of coming in like HSPA Plus was starting to get faster, but it
Yeah.
couldn't quite get to that upper echelon until an LTE phone came out, was the Droid DNA.
Oh yeah, I love
was
that
such a
phone.
beautiful phone.
When that
It
came
was.
out, I wanted it so bad.
I wanted it
was
so bad, and we
cool.
didn't get a unit. I was about to cry.
Yeah,
But I just remember feeling so excited because all of a sudden the phones were faster. You didn't have to be so patient.
yeah.
Granted, we've lost that patience in our current
Completely.
generation. Yeah.
Yeah.
but I just
normalized.
remember like from the days of having a dumb phone, like we call them now, and Google Maps became a thing on like a Sony Ericsson, and I was just so happy to have a mapping application to guide me, right? And then moving on to Android and then getting into Droid DNA, like that is the type of excitement that is actually palpable. And I feel like what most people are forgetting under all of the low-level talk is that that's what we're probably going to experience coming up again.
Yeah, I think so. I think especially with 5G, it's just like, I mean, the biggest problem is that it is only going to be deployed in a few cities because the way that it works, like you have to put nodes everywhere because their reach is so short, right? Mm-hmm. But the benefit is that you can still have sub 6. And then also,
see, here it comes. Like this is when everyone checks out. You say like sub 6 millimeter wave,
Well,
and I get it. We understand that terminology. I just barely do now, but that's what I mean. Like I think that what Qualcomm needs to do is to actually give those use cases, and what they're doing is putting VR headsets on people and saying, "Look, it's streaming perfectly." And
I understand why they.
I'm not going to say anything about that.
I understand why they use that as a use case, right?
Because it makes sense.
It's bandwidth. Mm-hmm. The entire reason why we haven't been able to do wireless VR so far is because standard Wi-Fi doesn't have enough throughput. And it has too much latency, and that's why Intel developed like a special Wi-Fi standard to push like that much like bandwidth over the air. But and so I get it. But the thing is, like, like you said, who's gonna be like standing in a park with a VR headset on, like just like fighting zombies or something?
So which brings me to my next question about 5G. If there are applications of it that would be incredibly practical, let's say 8K VR, HDR10, all these terms that you may or may not understand why they're cool, then that's our job. That's our job to make it clear to you. That's why I was actually kind of excited when I thought about that. I was like, my first LTE phone was a super exciting experience.
Yeah.
I was watching Netflix on that thing without having to wait for it to buffer.
Yeah.
And then back then, Netflix became a thing. That was exciting. Right?
Yeah.
So our content, what our phones were capable of, and the things we did on the internet completely changed once HSPA and LTE became a thing. And I wonder what would be your use case scenario where 5G actually benefits you? Because we can think of the practical stuff, like I need to upload my video immediately, but what?
you go, David.
I mean, I think a lot of the use cases are going to come down to creative work.
Yeah,
like it's sad that it funnels down into that, but like if you think about it, most people when they're like want to watch a YouTube video or something, they just watch it. Like even it can be 2K, and most people can stream a 2K YouTube video, and they don't notice the difference, right? The difference, I guess, is just that it's like upload speeds. You know, that's like the biggest thing. Like I'm gonna start shooting medium format pretty soon, and those files are freaking enormous.
Which camera?
The Fuji 50R.
Wow.
Yeah. And those files are huge because they're just like 56 megapixels.
Oh my goodness.
And so you take like, you know, if I take 20 photos, that's gigabytes.
Yeah.
And even now I'm using, I just started, I got the Fuji X-T3 as my video camera, and it can shoot in 200 megabit or 400 megabit per second video files, 4K, 10-bit, 60 FPS. And these are freaking huge files. Like right now, a 2-minute file at 200 megabits, 1080p, 30 is like 3 gigs. You know, for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'm even gonna. I hope I don't have any problems trying to upload this video to Jules later.
Yeah,
the Wi-Fi is actually not bad here. But
it is.
No, it is pretty good. But
go for it.
Sorry. I think it's just like for me, as it stands, if I want to upload that kind of stuff, I have to find good Wi-Fi, and like I'm not gonna upload it from my phone because like I pay per gigabyte of data, and then a lot of places don't have great Wi-Fi, and it could take, like, for example, last week I was in Lake Tahoe in Nevada, right? And I had to make a video while I was on vacation. It was for this, but the Wi-Fi there was so garbage that it took 9.5 hours to upload a 1.5 gig file. And
wow,
yes, it was real bad.
That was me uploading last week's weekly. If you haven't seen that yet, the road trip weekly.
Yeah. And the throughput is just so insane that you just don't have to think about anything. And just like, we passed this threshold of nothing is a problem anymore, you know? And I feel like we already passed that with video streaming, but this is the point in which we pass that with giving each other data, giving each other information.
Let me send, in Spanish we say, te voy a dar el puerto. Like, let me give you back the change on that topic.
Okay.
So the biggest problem is, okay, 2 things. First one, enough 5G talk. Just give me something to show.
Yeah.
Everything here, everything that they showed,
5 cities.
demos and all that, it was theoretical. Everything was theoretical.
Everything was theoretical.
It's been that way for years.
So please, let's just get a city connected. And boom.
Yeah.
Just give it to consumers. Because I think like the word is just even becoming annoying. Like
it's like a meme at this point.
It's a meme. Okay,
I'm sick of hearing millimeter wave.
Yeah, that's the first.
When
thing.
you go to the airport and the scanner, it says MM wave. I'm like, God.
Okay, the second thing is so let's assume that 5G is everything that they say. 5 gigahertz down, I believe. We've got IoT fully connected. We've got this insane download speeds and yada, yada, yada. All that's fantastic. You know what the problem is? It's not free.
Yeah.
It's not free. And so what's the problem? Like, for example, whenever I'm in Honduras, I have great LTE speeds, far better than the ones I have in the United States.
I don't have.
Like, I could literally upload any 1 gigabyte YouTube video in about 2 minutes. No problem whatsoever. The problem is it's what? It's like $10 per gig. And so every single growth, development, and technology is fabulous. And I know 5G is going to be great. I just want to know how carriers are planning to price it. And because it is pointless to have so much amazing bandwidth if I have to pay per gig.
Yeah, I'm praying that carriers get into another war and start, upping the amount of data you get for
until
each
we finally
plan.
get to a point where it's like everyone's unlimited again.
Yeah, then we might get there, and I hope so. Like Qualcomm made that use case to me when they first. I had a meeting with them months ago where they showed me the first radios when they first unveiled the first radios, and they said, in our eyes, like the carrier, because these speeds are going to be so insane and everyone is going to be pulling so much data, like it's going to be pretty much impossible for carriers to price it as they're pricing it now, because the argument when LTE came out, the argument was that people are accessing so many more web pages, streaming so many more videos, that you have to change the pricing schemes because it becomes part of their daily life. And if you price it the same way as you priced it before, then people are going to be poor. Like you can't do that.
People will be pissed.
But again, this is people are greedy, so you never know. Like I pray that it'll be that way, but
like in the case of LTE, I do understand the constraints, and I do understand that. And like everybody makes this comment, like data in the United States is stupid expensive, and it is. It's the most expensive I've ever paid for. Like it doesn't matter where I go. You go to Taipei, and it's what, $7 for unlimited.
It's amazing.
You go to Romania,
and that's a prepaid card.
You go to Romania, and it's like $3 for a month unlimited.
Yeah.
I think the fastest internet in the world, mobile internet in the world, is in Estonia.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not that expensive.
No, it's like it's like so inexpensive and it's unlimited.
Yep.
And so I understand that in the case of U.S. carriers, like Europe is the size of how much of the United States. I do understand that there's more territory. It requires more infrastructure. There is more population. So I do understand that it's a lot of money for these carriers to keep these structures going. I totally understand the complexity. The problem is that, like, it doesn't invite me to consume. And the whole purpose, the whole selling point of 5G is better consumption.
Yeah.
And so in the case of LTE, I understand the restraints, the bottlenecks generated where 5G intends to fix that. The whole purpose of 5G is, tell you what, stop investing on LTE. We've got this new technology that's going to take advantage of millimeter wave, and then we're going to have a lower spectrum, which is sub-6, that'll be able to penetrate buildings far better, so you're going to have to invest less in infrastructure in order to be able to connect people.
Right.
So that's the whole selling point for carriers. That's the whole, it's actually supposed to, and tell you what, that existing LTE spectrum that you have, that's going to be the fallback. But it's all going to work simultaneous. You're not going to have to be at 5G and then it falls into LTE. No. It's all happening
at the same time.
Yeah. And so because people are going to be moving to 5G, that whole LTE spectrum will be to a certain degree alleviated. And so it'll allow them to no longer have to worry about constraining consumers because they want to protect that, that they don't get bottlenecks in the spectrum.
Yeah.
That's all cool.
Yeah.
I just wish I could see it in a data plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it was Michael, Mr. Mobile himself, that said last week on our CarCast that what he wanted this Tech Summit to be was you arrive, you get off the plane, and when you get to here,
you get a Moto mod.
You get or you get a phone. You get a reference device phone that will not make it to market. It's just a proof of concept.
And you get to use it
and they've
for the
already
trip.
set up the island of Maui to be a 5G
that would have been
network.
a dream for
right?
sure.
Exactly. But instead we got a bunch of demos where we went in and it was just like
and everything
this is what it will be. I'm kind of sick of hearing this is what it will be like. This is what it will be like.
The only hope that I have is the fact that is literally supposed to roll out in March. So by next year's Tech Summit, we should have used it a lot.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, it's still only in a few cities. It's in San Francisco. I'm sure people are going to start flooding SF.
I did like that they had carriers here, like just straight up saying, "Oh, we're on it."
Yeah, like I was surprised actually how into it Verizon was, because they're usually into their own thing, and they're like, we're going to do our own thing. But this time they're actually working with Qualcomm, which is very
their
rare
own
for them.
thing has actually always been with Qualcomm. If you think about it, CDMA was the technology that enabled Verizon. It was a Qualcomm technology. LTE was the same thing, and they were pretty much the first.
True.
So they've always been like direct, really close partners with Qualcomm.
Yeah.
Qualcomm pretty much has enabled their business.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, it's a 2019 thing. I'm personally excited for it, as long as like you said, consumption, but also what we do with the mobile internet becomes much more prevalent, because we've reached the threshold of reliability. Yeah. We know how to get a reliable connection. We know where to go. We know what we have to do. Speed, on the other hand, is like, it's a relative thing, because we are tolerant beings. So if all of a sudden everything is lightning fast, and it is all what these theoretical
we're going to think that LTE
are,
is the slowest thing we've ever seen.
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing.
It's until we get there.
You have to remember how things have evolved over time. Like, if you remember the internet before LTE, it was more efficient because it understood that there was not much power in our phones, and there was not much bandwidth. So the mobile internet has evolved to a crazy way.
Yeah.
Like, up to the point where I know people in New York who don't own a computer. They can do everything they want on their phones.
Absolutely. I know a few people as well. Yeah, exactly.
For me, it's just shocking to meet people that don't own a computer. Like, the computers are seriously becoming a thing of the past for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so if you think about that, like,
enter HCX.
Yeah, and so LTE has enabled a lot of, like, mobile YouTube, man. If you remember YouTube before, it was trash.
And people are actually formatting videos for phones now, because it's like 80% of consumption is on phones.
Exactly.
Yeah. They said on a 720p podcast. All right, so that's a 2019 thing, but there is a bit to talk about in terms of 2019 as we talk about smartphones going forward. But before we get to that, we're going to get into a tiny little break. This episode of the Pocketnow Weekly is brought to you by OpsGenie. Stuff happens. Well, stuff, but it's a word that starts with S and rhymes with hit. And if you're running your business right, you've got your developer and operations team standing by ready to pounce when stuff hits the fan, but you have to know when that stuff hits the fan. Well, with OpsGenie by Atlassian, your teams have the tools they need to plan for incidents and outages, whether they've been scheduled or have come up last minute, and make sure your business is covered through different time zones and holidays. Alerts can be put out to over 200 platforms like Jira, Amazon CloudWatch, Datadog, New Relic, and others. And if someone on the case can't fix the problem right then and there, they have the ability to escalate the issue to another team member. Here's a free tip from me. Always back up. Problems don't always get solved the first time around. With OpsGenie, your next incident doesn't stand a chance. Visit OpsGenie.com to sign up for a free company account for up to 5 team members, no credit card required. That's OpsGenie.com. Never miss an alert again with OpsGenie from Atlassian.
Dude, we're doing this podcast wrong.
Why?
Look at this.
Oh, yeah, we should have done it in the pool.
Yeah, those fools.
Look at this. These guys, Michael Fisher and Andrew Martinick, are working from the pool.
It's funny because we all brought some work to this whole thing, right? And I have to admit, I'm not too beat up about that, because I know I'm here for a few more days.
Lucky you, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm going to China.
You know what? I'm heading to the pool after this.
Do it, man, and do all your stuff there. Like, do you still have like filming and whatnot to do?
Yeah. You're gonna help me with some of that B-roll. Come on, don't kill my.
Is that a question?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, can you film at the pool? Is what I meant to say. Which I know some people might get a little bit like freaked out. Like, there's a camera over there. Cover up.
True.
Okay, so 2019. 2019. I obviously. It makes sense that Tech Summit is at this time of the year, because everything that they announce is meant to be for the upcoming year, right? It's like showing off a 2019 sedan or something like that. You're seeing what's going to be used throughout the next year or so. 855. How excited are you about what the 855 is going to offer and what that will mean for our smartphones? Like, the next generation, I don't know. I mean, you should get kind of excited with every generation, but how excited are you about this one?
This one is a pretty big jump, actually. It's relatively surprising. If you look at just the performance gains and even the graphics gains, it's a lot. And I think that says something about what they're going to be doing with the 8CX series, as we call it. You know, they said in the keynote, they were like, they talked about Moore's Law, you know, and they were like, we're going to create a new law for smartphones or for mobile chips where we start seeing a more exponential gain again, because like Moore's Law is really teetering out in terms of like regular processors. But for mobile, we're kind of reaching this whole new horizon, right? I think for the 855 in particular, I'm excited about the action, and this is such a buzzword, but the AI capabilities as related to camera technology, because they announced a ton of new potential capabilities in the camera. Most of them have to do with deep learning depth maps. So they are basically enabling all these new things like bokeh mode, live video, because they can sample an image and project a depth map onto any image. It's not even just an image taken with your phone.
Yeah, it's not after the fact. It's live.
Yeah, you can take you could take an image from the internet and give it a bokeh effect, because it uses this deep learning algorithm to sense depth based on where things should be after testing phones with two cameras, so it can triangulate depth basically. And almost every new feature in the camera for 855 is enabled by this ability of, you know, deep learning and AI to triangulate depth. And it's exciting because you hit a point in physics with a camera sensor, in which you can only get so much light. You can only do this. But things that like Google are doing, things that Qualcomm are doing, where you literally, it's like computational photography is the next frontier, because even Google takes multiple frames, takes the sharpest frame, stacks all the other frames on top, and then that way you get rid of any of the noise that you would get when you usually bump up the shadows. You save the highlights, you don't get noise, and that's the biggest thing. Like you're just going around physics, right? You're not breaking it, but you're kind of routing around it. And I think
we're stacking.
Yeah,
it's crazy stacking. Like it's taking level 1 and just stacking it to make it level 8.
Yeah,
but you know, level 8 is a whole different thing. You're just kind of emulating the same thing in a way. Yeah,
I think computational photography in general, people are seeing the benefit. Future, the benefit of it. Qualcomm in the 855, they have a new ISP that can do 7 trillion operations per second, and is specifically tailored to doing imaging information. Yeah, and it's insane. And I just like part of the like, you know, I love using my camera, and so part of that's like, I don't want my phone camera to be as good as my camera. But like, if we're gonna advance as humans in the future, we got to get to the point where we have DSLR style, or not even DSLR, mirrorless style cameras on us all the time in our pockets.
Can you imagine though, if that one smartphone manufacturer that takes everything this processor's doing for camera processing, the DSP, the CVISP, computer vision, image processing, and puts a bigger sensor on the back?
Yeah, well, that's what Red was supposed to do.
And that's the thing, like a lot. So here's the thing, like the 845 brought a lot of stuff, like HDR, like a wider color gamut in photos. All that was great. But, you know, the other day I was talking with Uber, from
Uber
Gizmo, and he was like, okay, so all these things are great, but they look really good on your phone.
Yeah.
Once you... And so he's got...
I remember you were talking about this. Yeah.
He's got a point... And he's also doesn't have a point.
Because everyone uses their phones to view content.
That's the problem. So here's the thing. He's got a point. Like, they look great on your phone, but once you pull them into a computer, they don't look great. Like, there's sharpening, there are artifacts, it's just not the perfect photo. He's right. Thing about it is, you know, I feel that the only way, because of the convenience of the phone, People are willing to compromise a great photo. Guess why? Because they only look at them at their phone.
And they can pinch and zoom on their phone, too.
Exactly.
You can't do that on a...
And I mean, we've got Instagram pundits who will zoom into the highly processed photo that we post on Instagram.
That has also been compressed.
That's also been horribly compressed.
Yeah.
And they judge a phone by that, you know? I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, God, my God. But I'm not going to say anything because I'm trying to be nice. But the thing about it is, I think I love the fact that processors are getting to the point. I just feel that the only reason, like what separates a good smartphone camera is literally physics.
Yeah.
It's the size of the sensor. And unless smartphones can figure out a way around the size, you can do a lot of great like if you saw the demos, you could do a lot of bokeh, sure, but it looks fake.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, of course.
It looks fake.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so it's great that you can do that, but I find myself not doing it a lot unless I'm using the Mate 20 Pro because the size of the sensor is significantly larger.
Yeah.
So you've got the physics being provided.
Yeah.
And so unless somebody figures out a way around physics, you will still get great opportunities to fake things out and have them not look real.
Right. I think for right now with like the tonal depth mapping and stuff, when we we're getting to a point where we can more accurately predict depth, and the more accurately we can predict it, the more we can make it look like an actual camera should look. Right now, we kind of have like the first time that the bokeh mode came out, it was like OnePlus 5T and like a couple other things. It was kind of focus area, non-focus area, and it just looks so fake, right? Yeah. But now we're starting to see like you can triangulate depth based on two objects in a scene because we have two cameras, two focus areas, focus on subject, focus on other thing, and then through deep learning, machine learning, we can do that a million times and say like, okay, that's about 5 feet away. In between that 5 feet, how out of focus should it be, right? So it's getting better. And then there's the things like the P20 Pro, which had the monochrome sensor, and monochrome sensors only get get texture data, right? And so that added on top of that. So actually, the P20 Pro has slightly sharper images than the Mate 20 Pro, but it doesn't.
Kind of missed that too. The monochrome sensor was awesome.
But slightly more, but the processing was like trashy.
And the sensor is smaller. Yeah. And also Huawei's over sharpening is insane. But
no, on the P20 Pro it's bad. On the Mate 20 Pro it's not.
Yeah,
it's
a lot better.
Back, but because they don't have the monochrome sensor on there anymore. So
yeah. So they traded off the monochrome sensor for was it the telephoto or the wide angle? The wide angle, which I love the wide. So
same.
I mean, having the 3 camera, like they did it right, but that's another tangent.
Is it safe to say that we finally
exactly the dirty word?
That was hilarious. There were a lot of people running around with Mate 20 Pros at this event.
I saw a ton of Mate.
I don't know if you saw me earlier. I had my iPhone XS Max on the table. I threw it on the bed. I was like,
the governor of Hawaii was waving around an iPhone. He's like, oh, I love Qualcomm. So funny.
So it's safe to say, you were saying earlier already that we're moving into a whole new era when it comes to like the Moore's Law and everything like that. Your points on that. Their points on that you said. Is it safe to say now that performance gains are no longer as important as feature gains? Because now we know that just picking up this phone, scrolling through the apps, opening up games, opening up videos, we know that's going to be a good experience no matter what.
Yeah.
That is a level of performance that we've already achieved between 800 and 820. Right. We're good now.
Yeah.
835 proved that that could be a reliable experience. 845 proved that it could be a powerful experience. Now we have feature gains in the 855.
It's a big reason why a lot of people say that smartphones are stagnating because what did we used to review smartphones based on? How fast is it?
Yeah.
Right. And that's why we used to use benchmarks. And that's why we used to launch apps really quick and jump back and forth between them. And at this point, it's like, and so most smartphones now have like a gimmicky feature that is going to make or break the device. Right.
Well, the thing is, I agree with you there. But the reason why I'm excited about the 855 is because if you look at the trend of smartphones this year, they knew that performance gains were finally at a peak, or at least like we know we're good. So they started putting in those features, vapor cooling, cooling for the processor, like notches and stuff like that.
Because they don't like fans, as they said.
But like talking about the cooling in particular, if you have the cooling, which made the 845 an even better gaming device, imagine what it's going to do with the 855.
Right.
With everything that it's going to bring to the table.
Because
that makes me
elite 7 nanometer means,
You know, an 855 with a good vapor cooling chamber, I feel like
it's hard for me to say because I don't play games on my phone. So,
so I feel that we need.
You're on planes all the time. You should be.
So I feel that we need a certain threshold to be defined.
Yeah.
Because the biggest problem with mobile gaming is that mobile games are not really great.
Yeah.
They're getting better, though. Have you played recently?
But
Josh is a big mobile gamer.
But so here's the problem. The reason why they're not great is not necessarily because there's no capability. It's just they want to make them for the masses. And so obviously not everybody has a powerful enough phone to run all the graphics and to run everything.
Yeah.
And they can't just tier what phone runs what. They can, but it's complicated.
And then you have to account for every single model, and it's awful.
Exactly, and it's awful, and it's the worst. So I would really love to see like a separate gaming store where, just like in the PC market, you've got minimum specifications to be able to run a game.
Yeah.
And if you...
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and so if you want to buy this game, you have to have a Razer phone too with this, and it'll give you the models which it's compatible for.
They're kind of going there because if these computers, the HCX processors and the platforms have things like the Adreno 680, the Adreno 640 for mobile, you know, this will only work on the 680. You know, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So I would love to see that because... honestly, like, I hate playing certain games where it's a first-person shooter and then the guy that I'm supposed to shoot just runs in a weird direction and keeps doing it, and then everybody that I'm fighting keeps doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So the Nintendo Switch is proof that you can have really powerful gaming experiences on mobile.
Yeah.
You just need a fan.
And they got a fan.
You need a fan, you need an exhaust.
So the moral of the story is everyone should buy an ROG phone and buy the fan accessory.
Listen, it's just, that's one thing. Then the second thing is, following on the PC market, we do need accessories like the fan. We need to, let's forget about the whole concept of thin and light. I mean, these predators, they literally look like Tyrannosaurus Rex. They look like the computer for Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And you know what? People buy them. People that are really into the experience buy them. And then the third thing is, come on, guys. How difficult can it be to make a frickin' mobile controller?
Yeah.
Like, how difficult?
Very few people have made good mobile controllers.
Yeah,
which is
he's got a Game Vice here.
Okay, but we need this. Yeah. So we come on, man. If you're into gaming and you can't provide me a controller, you're not into gaming.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Razer still hasn't released theirs, right?
Exactly.
No. Yeah.
And so we've got this problem where people are into this mentality where they love the PS4 controller, or they prefer the Pro controller on the Switch, or some people actually like the Xbox controller. I don't know why, but
that's not a thing I would have expected Jaime to say.
But you get the point that I'm making.
Exactly.
It's just, come on, guys. Dear gaming companies, if you want us to take your gaming phone seriously, number one, we need better games. We do.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
And if these processors are capable, quote unquote, I'd love to see that. And I would not mind paying, like right now, it's $60 for a game on the Switch. I'm not asking to pay $60 on mobile, but I wouldn't mind paying $20 for a really good game. And where I have limitations and they tell me you can only play it on this phone. And so you can't buy it if you don't have the phone.
Because you need to have the best possible experience. They actually built it with mindfulness involved.
Exactly. Right. And they could launch a light version for everybody else.
Sure.
Yeah, but that's the only way that I'm going to take gaming on a phone seriously.
The developers do seriously need to look at mobile gaming as a platform that's available to everybody, because you have these phones that, like I said earlier, the performance gains are finally where we need them to be. And if every phone has something like the 855 or even like the 845, then you can create games that everyone has some sort of access to.
Well, what's interesting about the 855 is it's not only a lot faster, but they also built in things like support for Vulkan 1.1, which makes it a lot more efficient to run these games. Yeah. So the performance increase is not just the performance increase, it's performance increase plus how easy it is to run the games. It's more up here than it is up here.
Exactly. But, the problem is, again, who are good. Like, I would love these gaming companies to take advantage of all that.
Yeah.
But how many 855s are going to be launched last year is the problem. That's the bottleneck. The bottleneck is that mentality that all phones should be able to run this game.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works in the PC industry, and it's very successful.
Yeah.
There's another mentality too. One of the main points that they kept making on stage about gaming was how much money it brings in. Yeah. And real gamers are like, who cares?
Yeah.
Give me the game. Like, think of it this way. Even a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, it doesn't have microtransactions and all that stuff.
Right.
In the mobile gaming space, people are too greedy. They want the gacha. They want all of that stuff. We have to create a subset.
That is the third thing.
Yeah.
Just
Which I don't
give me a $30 price.
Good
for the damn game. Yeah. Don't give me that stupid in-app purchases, man.
Yeah. And I agree with you there. That right now is the Achilles heel of mobile gaming. Yeah. It is the most lucrative form of gaming, but we need to have a subset of developers who are creating AAA titles for these phones that you pay a premium for, and that's all you pay.
Yeah.
Just like console gaming, just like PC gaming.
And, that's something that we did to ourselves, because at the very forefront of mobile, everything was free. When apps first became a thing, app developers made apps because ads were lucrative as whatever. And there was so much money coming in from free version ads, right? And then now people aren't even willing to pay 99 cents for a pro version of an app that they use every single day.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, I'm not going to get on my credit card. 99 cents? I'm not paying 90. They spend $4 on their latte. I spend $4.50 on my latte every morning.
Not here in Hawaii.
Not here. It's $10 here in Hawaii, and it's subpar. But we did this ourselves. I mean,
speaking of which, we're in Hawaii. If it has the word Kona in it, doesn't mean it's great.
So it's hard, right? It's hard because it's going to take a cultural shift to get people to be able to pay that. I remember way back, I had a iPod Touch first generation. And
I had that too.
Yeah.
That was my first ever Apple product.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was my third. But I remember... which is funny because I haven't owned an Apple product since then. But I remember looking at the App Store and looking up what's the most expensive app that I can find on the App Store. And it was $300, and it was a security software suite for enterprise. And I was like, oh my God, $300 for an app. That is absolutely ludicrous. Like, who is going to, everything's free. People don't even rent a movie for $2.99. It's it's crazy. I don't know why there's this mentality in society that anything you do on your phone should be free. But
that's a good point.
We're going to have to get past that before anyone's. That's why I think $30 game. Is anyone going to spend that? I mean, you would.
I would. I'm already paying $70 on Switch games.
Yeah. No, they're expensive as
The thing is, that's how you create true gamers in this space.
Yeah. I would like to see someone like Nintendo make a full-fledged game. Because Nintendo,
there's already a certain set of games in the Play Store that do that, but the problem is they're ports. They're classic games. Yeah. You could pay $25 to play Final Fantasy VII again, which is awesome. But let's take it to the next level.
We need people pushing.
And the reason why I'm saying the whole $30 is, you know what? Building these games requires talent and hard work.
Yeah.
And these developers need to get paid.
Totally.
The only reason why we've got the stupid
IAP,
microtransactions.
The stupid transaction thing is because developers were running out of money, man.
And
I agree,
and it's lucrative.
And here's the thing, we created this app bubble. And then the app bubble burst at the moment the companies weren't able to monetize as, phones, as smartphones start lowering in amount of sales, it's not productive for them. And which are the phones that sell the most?
The cheap ones.
The mid-rangers. And so that's the thing. I feel that gaming companies in mobile are doing it wrong.
Yeah.
They need to take the Nintendo approach.
Yeah.
Low power, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really
pretty
do.
Much.
Yeah, I feel that they're doing it wrong. I mean, give me high power, charge money. It's fair.
Sure.
It's fair. I feel that it is fair.
Yeah.
I would rather that over an ad experience and just make it clear. If you don't have this phone, you can't play this game.
Yeah.
And I can bet you that that's the moment that gaming phones are going to take off.
Exactly. It's also going to create loyalty in the Android space.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which I think would be great. But we finally have camps of people,
Well, what's more sad right now is that the iPhone plays Fortnite better than any Android phone does. It's
See,
I'm just saying, like, it's
This is what I mean, and it's the reason why people are like. It's funny how many people in YouTube think that I'm an iPhone hater. I'm not. What watch am I wearing? What tablet am I wearing? It's clear that I use an iPhone.
Not wearing. Yeah. He's not wearing the tablet.
Sorry, but I would. The point being is, why is building apps for an iPhone so much better? Because the form factors don't vary.
Yeah,
it's the same damn thing. It ported in different capabilities, and that is the deal. And so with Android's complexity, the smartest thing is for developers to forget about the mentality that every phone needs.
Everything should be the same. Exactly. Right. So you know what? Then I'll say this: manufacturers start getting in bed with these game companies. Like
Razer's doing it. They launched with the Arena of Valor thing. Not Epic. Samsung did the whole Fortnite thing. Even though that doesn't even really matter.
It's not the same thing.
They didn't optimize it for the Note 9.
Samsung that was
just a marketing ploy.
Samsung get in with Square Enix. I don't know, maybe one other company.
I mean, Razer got in with Arena of Valor, which is the biggest game in China.
Well, but that's the game, not necessarily like the publisher.
No,
like get publisher, right? Like make it like Tencent only works with Samsung. Make it so that Razer only works with Square Enix. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So then you start getting into exclusives, and it gets weird.
But that's how we have the console gaming. Anyway, we went on a
we're talking about gaming now.
we went on a pretty far tangent, but it was a fun and passionate one. So I want to make sure we do one last thing and let our viewers know at least one piece of information about the 855 that they can be happy about. No more latency in Bluetooth.
Oh my god!
aptX adaptive, dude.
Yes,
aptX adaptive.
No. So people, here's the thing. When I did that demo, I was like, no. There is zero latency. So my biggest problem with the whole death of the headphone jack is that Bluetooth isn't any better.
It's bad.
It's bad. It's like latency and just the whole pairing process, and the fact that connecting it's not as simple as wire from one phone to wire to computer.
Yeah.
No, pairing can be a nightmare, and then you've got the cases like the Mark IIIs from Sony, which are just a total. They're the best headphones that have the worst way to connect between one product and the other. They're the worst.
It's bad.
And so this is the reason why Bluetooth is not ubiquitous.
Yep.
Price and experience does not match the headphone jack yet.
Yeah.
Until now.
Yeah, it actually feels like we've breached it.
Zero latency. You're literally pressing buttons on whatever, and there is immediate reaction to audio.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. And they weren't even using expensive headphones.
Are you talking about aptX adaptive?
aptX adaptive. Yeah.
So aptX already sounds great. No,
acoustic.
Please, no comments, audiophiles. Come on.
It does.
We know this. We know this.
We acknowledge your existence.
We acknowledge your existence, and we know that nothing will be better than vinyl. Fine. That's all great. But for the average consumer that can't pay for all this stuff.
I shoot film, so.
For the average consumer that can't pay this kind of stuff, I just hate that it's an 855 thing.
Oh yeah.
I wish that it were something that would come on.
It'd be better for cheaper.
Yeah, that's true.
Not in the processor, because I wish that the next batch of headphones
would be able to do it.
Do it, even if this 855 is not the processor that I'm using.
Yes.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, crap. I use an iPhone for running, and I'm like, damn it, I'm gonna need a small Android phone to be able to because it's really good.
Yeah.
The fact that it can switch adaptively back and forth between resolutions is it's great.
that soundboard that they had, the motherboard or whatever it was, it said SBC, which is what we've heard that term in a few different types of headphones. It was SBC, and then it was a demo of a phone that had a piano key layout, and you pressed and done, pressed and done, pressed and done, but this time it was 1-to-1. Once she hit the switch and it went to aptX adaptive. It was awesome. So anyone out there who gets that latency in games and videos or anything like that, and inputs, it's going to be much,
and especially at these kind of events where literally there's a million Bluetooth networks everywhere,
that's true.
And that's also the thing, because that's why it's impossible to use Bluetooth at press events, because it's just there's signals everywhere, and if you can oscillate and change adaptively what you're gonna need, it's super useful.
Yeah. All right. Well, we do have a luau to attend, and
you are dressed appropriately.
Yes, we are. Yes,
this is gonna be awesome to go buy a shirt.
This is the most comfortable shirt I've ever had in my life.
This
honestly.
is not, but yeah.
You're like
a little small on me.
Yeah, you're like half a size bigger than me.
My shoulders are kind of.
You've ever worn in your life.
I think I would think
I'm gonna wear this on the beaches in LA like in the summer all the time.
Oh my God.
Dude, I would wear this daily.
I need to laugh every now and then.
Should I wear this in China? What's gonna happen then?
I don't know. Man.
Well, man, I've never seen. Well, no comment. No comment.
It's okay. I've gotten every comment possible from my girlfriend. Shout out to Issa. She was like, "What is that shirt?" But in any case, Pocketnow. Actually, a Hawaiian shirt. And on that note, I was reading lower on the script. And on that note, that's it for now. The Weekly is just as much a conversation as it is a show, so make sure you make your voices heard either in the comment sections down below, or you can email us, podcast@pocketnow.com. On Twitter, well, we also said Instagram because David, our host here, @David Imel on Instagram.
My name.
Yeah, your name. And then what's your other name?
Gamer tag from 5th grade. Durvid Imel. DURVIDIMEL.
On Twitter.
It sounds like a porn name.
Almost.
Yeah.
So,
Could
baby,
be.
I'm Dervid.
Could be. If you find it, let me know.
Name's Dervid. And Jaime Rivera is of course found at Jaime_Rivera. Remember that underscore.
No porn name here.
And Pocketnow. And of course I am found at JV Tech T. You know me by now. I am JV. I love tech and I love to make and drink tea.
Fantastic.
Pocketnow is at Pocketnow on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube in English and Espanol, where you can find more news on the Pocketnow Daily and Pocketnow Audio every weekday. We'd certainly appreciate your feedback through Google, Apple, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, or wherever you happen to be streaming us. Because without you, we wouldn't have been able to make this show for your eyes and ears for 335 episodes straight. All right, so that's that. Whatever you're doing, he still has the old outro here. I'm going to try to change that up. Aloha, and thank you so much for watching and listening to this podcast, and we will see you, or rather, you'll hear us on the next episode.